Here's all the movies that I watched in May and their review. So I just finished watching The Thunderbolts. Here's my review of it. Start off, this movie is great and raw. I had very minimal expectations for this movie, but wow, it exceeds. I gotta tell you, it's been a while since we got a very captivating and thrilling MCU movie with awesome action scenes since Captain America Civil War and The Winter Soldier. This superhero team, this assembly, is very character-centric, and they made very unknown or underrated underdogs of characters to become very likable and badass heroes. Totally, the comedy is well timed. The best characters for me is Yelena and Bucky the Winter Soldier, and for me, especially Yelena. She has encompassed a lot of emotions that really makes her the spotlight of this movie. She literally stole the movie with every emotion and every origin and every struggle she has ever since the loss of her sister. And yeah, this is a movie that really showed the origins of the Black Widows better than the Black Widow movie itself. Full character rankings coming soon, just you wait down here. And I like the fact that this movie actually has a big connection to the Avengers Doomsday movie later, which is great. Now I'm more hyped. Now let's get over to some of the criticisms that I had. So firstly, I think it can take a little bit of time to get to one point to the other, but I like the fact that it's actually focused towards the characters and their origins, and the way that they tell it slowly is actually quite worth of the explanation. But of course, however, it can be a bit slow. And yeah, the last criticism for me is Taskmaster. You know where that goes. Overall, I would rate this movie at a 9.6 out of 10, and for its entertainment skill, I will rate it at a 9.9 out of 10. So I just watched Lilo and Stitch, the remake. Here's my review of it. It's a good remake, but not necessarily a great one. Stitch, Lilo and Nani were great. Stitch in this movie still has that very funny, chaotic and heinous character as always, but Lilo in this movie is actually very natural. Kudos to the actress Maya Keanoha. What makes the remake different from the original Lilo and Stitch is that they tried to explore a different presentation on the plot points and the values that it's trying to deliver in this movie. From the climax and how Lilo and Stitch grew up to become great friends and get better character development, it was all presented differently, with its pros and cons. In the original Lilo and Stitch, the family struggles more about their financial problems, but in this remake, not only that they discuss about these financial problems, but they also discuss Lilo's troubles as a character, as a poor girl, and also Nani's responsibilities taking over as an older sister being responsible for the family. And different from the original version of Lilo, the original version of Lilo is a soft character, whereas in the remake, she is more troublesome and actually more childlike. And I think they try to incorporate that sort of character to correlate it to Stitch's nature as a beast. And apart from discussing Anoha, which means family sticks together forever, I like that they add a few touches to that message. This movie also demonstrates that even though someone is bad or does bad things, it doesn't mean that they are purely bad people. And that applies to family too. Family, especially if they are broken or that things have changed, it doesn't mean that the family is purely bad. There is some goodness in the family, the love and the soul that is still left in them. And talking about Nani being the leader of the family, in the original, Nani's character is basically trying to keep the family together even with the financial problems, because she's the one being the most responsible. But in this movie, they try to explore her lore and her character a little bit, that she actually has dreams like a regular person do, and those dreams are being difficult to achieve because she has a responsibility to take care of Lilo. But even though some changes and additions land, some didn't work. Like, I feel that the climax and the conclusion of the movie could have been improved a little more. Like, it felt a little bit too straightforward for me, and it could use a little bit more touches and a little bit more emotion into it. That said, the movie perhaps isn't as sad or impactful that I feel compared to the original one. But nevertheless, this movie still has its original charm. There are still some emotional moments here and there, and the Hawaiian culture is also incorporated here. And for the most part, the characters in this movie are still consistent and following to the original material. I will rate this movie at a simple 8.0 out of 10, and for its entertainment skill, I will rate it at a 9.0 out of 10. Hey, so I just watched Karate Kid Legends, here's my review of it. In summary, same plot point, but a whole different execution. This movie is different in a way that it explores how someone can live up to the skills that they have and how they rise up against consequences. With the message being that you cannot control when you're going to go down, but what you can control is how you're going to get up, how and when. And I like that message in the movie. And I think I'm one of the few people who actually like the cause of why this movie happened in the first place, whereas in the previous films it sometimes happens because of a girl and how to fight fear, but this one is more about owing yourself a favor with your skills. The movie is able to clarify the connections and the origins of how Miyagi went to China in order to bring karate into Okinawa perfectly, and the fusion of karate and kung fu in this movie is actually extraordinary. I really like every execution and how they fuse these two practices. And movie-wise, this movie has the best mom out of all the moms that in the Karate Kid universe. The fight scenes are easily followable, thrilling, and entertaining, and a lot of the jokes actually land. And this is actually unexpected, but they have a lot of animated features in it, and actually I really like that part. Now if we are talking about the cons of this movie, you can say some of the scenes and plot points are just concluded too quickly. The villain, while a beast, unstoppable, and very menacing in a fight, is not really particularly interesting for me, and he's not really given much character or background to begin with. And then this movie feels sometimes like when you're watching from the beginning to the middle parts of the movie, you're going to anticipate a lot more. Like the beginning and middle scenes of the movie is actually wholly different from the other Karate Kid movies. But unfortunately, in the end, it kind of followed the similar plot points and the formula of the previous Karate Kid movie. And I can say the final battle is too hopeful and too cheerful at certain places. Overall, I would rate this movie at an 8.0 out of 10. And for its entertainment scale, I would rate it at a 9.2 out of 10. But of course, what about you? Share your comments down below. Subscribe and voila!